Hello, everyone. This is Larry Cleek. I'm the Emergency Preparedness Manager here at Public Health Dayton Montgomery County, and I wanted to provide an overview and an update on the Great North American Eclipse of 2024. Probably a lot of you have heard in the local media and on the internet about the upcoming eclipse. I hope to answer a lot of your questions and concerns you may have. A year ago, well over a year ago, we started planning for this event. And a year ago, I was saying, what's the big deal? It's going to get dark for 2 to 4 minutes. So hopefully I answer all your questions and cover everything that you would need to know to be ready for the eclipse. Okay, so I just wanted to provide a general overview of what will be happening in regards to a total solar eclipse. On Monday, April 8th, 2024, roughly about 3 weeks from now, a 124-mile wide band will cross the state of Ohio. Roughly about 56 of our 88 counties will go in totality or darkness for a period of time. Here within Dayton, it will begin at 3:09 and be over by 3:12. It will be roughly about 2 minutes and 45 seconds that we will be in totality or darkness. If you look on the map I've provided, everywhere between those two red lines will have totality or darkness for a period of time. It can range anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes. The closer you are to that center blue line, the more likely you're going to be closer to 4 minutes. And of course, if you're near the red line, the closer you're going to be to 2 minutes. In our West Central Ohio region, the longest period of time I'm aware of for a fair-sized city is Greenville, Ohio, and they'll go roughly about 3 minutes and 56 seconds. The slogan for the Ohio Eclipse, as well as many other locations in the country and previously even in 2017, was pushing the message, come early, stay late. So for tourists coming in, they want you to arrive over a few days and not try to have big backups coming before the eclipse starts. And probably the biggest concern is the stay late, because 2017 showed us that many people, the minute the eclipse was over, they were out on the roads. So not only the state of Ohio, but many other states are pushing that message. And it's a very important message to try to lessen the severity of possible traffic concerns as this eclipse unfolds here in Ohio in April. Many of you are probably asking, why is this so special? A total solar eclipse is a very rare occurrence. It just does not happen that often. It's a once in a lifetime experience. Heck, it's beyond a once in a lifetime experience. It's only happened 15 times in the US since 1867, and it's even more infrequently that we see it in Ohio. The last time in Ohio we saw it was in 1806, which is basically 218 years ago. The next one after this that will affect Ohio will not happen until 2099. So again, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity or experience for many people. You know, I was kind of surprised to find out that I'm aware that there are storm chasers, but I did not realize their eclipse chasers actually exist. 2017, I'm going to get into that a little bit more detail, but I want to give you a couple examples in the amount of people that are interested in this. Wyoming, which has a population of just under 600,000, saw their state population double in size the day of the eclipse in 2017. Doubled their population size based on the eclipse. Tennessee, which was planning for 500,000 tourists and only saw 300,000, with those 300,000, they surveyed a large amount of those individuals coming in and saw that 48 states were represented from the US and that 25 different countries showed up within Tennessee to witness the eclipse. So yes, this is a really big deal that many people travel thousands of miles to see happen and experience. What I've got pulled up on the screen now is a eclipse track comparison between 2017 and 2024. in 2017, you can see the eclipse entered in the Oregon area, went across the US and exited through South Carolina and the top of Georgia. That specific eclipse was roughly about 70 miles wide, where ours here in 2024 is going to begin in Mexico, come up through Texas, and across the US, including Ohio, and out through Canada. Where ours is 124-mile wide, that provides more time in darkness. Where we're sitting, where we're on the outer edge of totality here in Dayton, where we're only going to have 2 minutes and 45 seconds, when others in the center are going to have 4 minutes, that time of 2 minutes and 45 seconds is actually longer than anybody during the 2017 eclipse. So what's the big concern? I mean, I've been talking up this is once in a lifetime experience. What would be the concern? Well, the major concern is that there will be big time traffic issues following the eclipse. There's a possibility of it leading up to, but 2017 showed the biggest issue was that basically everybody got up and left right after the eclipse had happened. It's estimated that more than 5 million people showed up for the eclipse in 2017. In the totality of 2017, there were roughly 12 million people that fell under totality where they lived. For the 2024 version, roughly 30 million people live within totality, and that's not counting the guests or tourists that will come in. Ohio is basically a one-day drive from about 50% of North America's population. I think what we'll see within states close to us will be states that are below us, south or to the east of us, parts of Pennsylvania, parts of West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, those types of things that have possibly the shortest drive that will be coming into our area to view the eclipse. I give an example of 3 to 4 hours could be added to school bus trips home. They saw this in 2017 for schools that were in session. There was locations that say got out at 3 o'clock and these kids weren't getting home till 6, 7, possibly 8 o'clock at night based on the traffic following the eclipse. I will pass on that our school districts have been surveyed, and roughly about 95% of our, well, I'm going to say the vast majority of our school districts as a whole will be closed. There will only be about 9 or 10 charter schools, smaller schools, that will be in session as of today. So just like many response partners, to include ourselves and county partners, we've reviewed a lot of after action reports from the 2017 eclipse that affected the US. A lot of this information you'll see over the next few slides are major items that they identified as key information or items that they could improve if this ever happened again. So to begin with, huge numbers of viewers travel to the path of totality. So the closer to the center of totality they can get, the better, because they'll be in that darkness period for a longer period of time. Almost all viewers travel to the path of totality by motor vehicle. Roadways experience very little traffic congestion on the days leading up to the day of totality. The biggest issue that they saw was that there was a major immediate post-exodus where everybody was getting on the road as quickly as possible following the end of the eclipse. And like we said earlier, this eclipse, total eclipse, only lasts about 2 to 4 minutes. So just like the 2017 event was on a Monday, ours is on a Monday also. So again, major congestion, major traffic following almost immediately once the eclipse was done. There is a partial eclipse that is involved in this process. So partial eclipse, where the moon will start to touch the sun viewing wise, will be roughly about 1:53 in the afternoon and will run till about 4:25 in the afternoon here in Dayton. But again, totality, the one that gets everybody excited and want to see, will last roughly about 2 minutes and 45 seconds here in Dayton, Ohio. So, some more interesting information following the 2017 solar eclipse. Basically, some of the key information they passed on was that in the hours immediately following totality, that's total solar eclipse, almost every interstate route that was crossed by totality had their Google Maps go red. So you could start in Oregon all the way across to the Carolinas, and you could see interstate routes all red on Google Maps showing where the eclipse had passed. Some interstate routes saw congestion and slow speeds up to 13 hours after the event had happened. If you were driving from one location, it took you on average 3 or 4 hours to get there, you could triple that time at least based on traffic. And I want you to realize that this not only affected interstates, it affected rural, non-freeway routes where individuals who knew the area or had some Google Maps, that type of thing, were getting off the main interstates and were trying to use back roads. So interstates were slowed, side roads were slowed. It's just a lot of traffic. The interesting thing I've heard, it's the comparison of 100 college football games being released at one time, and just imagine the traffic you're dealing with if that happens. So I'm pulling up a graph here or a chart, and this is the southbound hourly traffic volume on I-25 milepost 1 in Wyoming, where I told you earlier they doubled their state population. This is their interstate, and you can basically see that per hour rates are roughly, I'd say, about leading up to the eclipse, about 300 to 400 cars per hour on their interstate. You can see at roughly 1 p.m. that the eclipse had ended and they jumped to over 3,000 cars per hour. So basically almost 10 times what they had seen before the eclipse had happened was now what was going on after the eclipse or the end of the eclipse. 10 times the traffic was seen pre-eclipse to post-eclipse. This additional chart is from August 21st and 22nd. August 21st was the actual date of their eclipse. It happened roughly right before 1 p.m. You can see a comparison. Their date in the blue here, it's their normal traffic flow. And then the red are showing the hourly breakdowns of how much traffic was going on the 21st. And then you can see on the 22nd, which would be a normal day, where you still have increased traffic flow based on people that actually followed the arrive early, stay late. So those individuals who stayed late and left the next day probably saw roughly twice the amount of traffic flow that you would normally see in these locations on day-to-day types of events. So again, up to 13 hours after the event, you could still have traffic concerns that would affect you and your family following the eclipse. So concerns with first responder or first responder impacts. What would be an issue with first responders during this type of event? Extended travel times for emergency response. So fire, law enforcement, EMS would have their response times extended dramatically because of the traffic, especially shortly after the eclipse has happened. I will tell you that reviewing the 2017 version of what they did, they pre-stationed a lot of equipment. For example, South Carolina had state troopers that were placed about every 2 miles on their interstate. Other locations pre-stationed EMS ambulances and fire trucks in different locations in the county. I will tell you from planning sessions that different cities within Montgomery County will be pre-stationing fire, EMS, and law enforcement in other parts of their city and other parts of the county, just so they can respond at a faster time. Other concerns would be callers not knowing where they are. And I bring this up where you might use Google Maps to get to a location, but communication could be affected based on the number of people that are here. So if your apps aren't working and your internet might go down or your app is not working, you could have issues telling somebody where you're at. An example could be you have an incident at a temporary campground you've never been to, and trying to explain this to a 911 operator if you're having an emergency where you're actually at if you cannot give a location. And then we talk about limited mutual aid from other counties, where this would probably not be that big. It's going to be a concern for us, but not as major of a concern for someone who's in the center of totality, where they would have to go through multiple counties to get to. For us, Butler and Warren County, it might nip them, but for the majority of their county, it's not going to have a total eclipse. But even with that, them trying to get equipment or response vehicles to assist us based on the traffic is going to be a major issue for them as well. Another major concern for us will be communication. There's a possibility that cell phones and Wi-Fi's could be impacted significantly. They could slow down. They could go down for a period of time. Ability to place 911 calls could be an issue. I talked about previously that there could be an issue with using mapping apps, and there are a lot of people these days that get by following their map app to get to any location. There could be an issue with using credit cards or Apple Pay. Just some of the things that might arise that you should think about. It's comparable to if you try to make a call during the holidays where so many people are trying to use and access the internet or the phone system that you get that message, all circuits are busy, please try again at a later time. That is a possibility. A perfect example I've got another presentation where I've got a shot of the Pope in 2004, and he's talking to about 100,000 people. And you can look into the crowd looking up at the Pope, and there's one person holding a flip phone, holding it up towards the Pope to record, whatever. 5 years later, you see the same photo, same type of thing, 100,000 people, and almost every person in that area has a phone where they're recording what's going on because you see the lights from the phone. The reason I bring that up is that 2017, you had a lot of bloggers and that type of thing that were putting stuff or content out on YouTube, that type of thing. That's 7 years ago. It is multiplied greatly. I'm betting there will be a boatload of individuals that will be recording this and live streaming the eclipse. So the likelihood of our Wi-Fi, cell phone, those types of things, where so many people are using it, will be slowed. I hope it just slows. I hope we don't get to a point where it would go down just based on the numbers, but it's something you want to think about and plan before the actual event happens. So public health concerns and what we're doing in the community and that type of thing. We've been providing a lot of presentations in regards to the upcoming eclipse. We've been involved in temporary campsites. Our EH section is heavily involved in that with concerns on potable water, restrooms, trash, that type of thing. Food service operations, your temporary food permits and different food trucks and those types of things that might be out and about during this type of event. Other concerns we've got is educating the public on proper eye protection. Our phdmc.org website has a specific section on the eclipse. We've got handouts that we've generated and put together, little one-pagers for the entire general populace. And then we've also developed one-pagers for schools, daycares, funeral homes, nursing homes. For example, for daycares, we brought up information from a planning perspective. They might want to look at extending their hours later in the day because the amount of traffic where it could take a while for parents to pick up kids at daycare. Another example is the one pager I've got on funeral homes. With funeral homes, we kind of recommend that it would probably be a good idea not to schedule any funerals the day of the eclipse. If you have to, I would avoid the afternoon altogether. Again, just based on traffic concerns the day of that event. So eyewear and handheld viewers, very important for the safety standpoint to use these pieces of equipment or supplies. Look, looking directly into the sun anytime is unsafe. You can cause damage to your eyes, and nobody, regardless if it's an eclipse or not, should stare directly into the sun. You're going to cause damage. For the eclipse, we expect individuals to be looking up, so we want them to be safe as possible. We want them to use special purpose solar filters, such as eclipse glasses or handheld solar viewers. They must meet ISO 12312-2 international standards for such products. There is documentation out there with approved vendors on where to buy these. You don't want to use old glasses or viewers, as lens may have deteriorated over a period of time. I will let you know that the health department has purchased some eclipse glasses for individual staff to use the day of the event. More information will be coming out on availability of that through emails. But again, if you are going to view this, make sure from a safety standpoint that you are using eclipse glasses. And like I said, you will be getting offered a pair from internally within the health department. Okay, and my final thing I wanted to go over is just some personal preparedness, not only for yourself, family, and friends. You can share the information. Like I said, a lot of this information is available on a one pager on our phdmc.org website. If at all possible, limit travel the day of the event. So on April 8th, I would limit travel, especially in the afternoon. I want you to realize you're not going to get anywhere in a hurry that day. If you must travel, be sure to have some water and snacks in your vehicle, just because the possibility exists that you could be in traffic a long time. Begin the day with a fully charged cell phone. Have some extra power devices. Have a cord to charge your phone. Fill up with gas at least the day before, if not a couple days before. You want to have that just in case gas lines get long. You could have where so many people are here, it might exhaust the fuel supply, where it might take a day or two for trucks to get in to refill that stock. So filling up your gas tank a day or two before that, probably a very good idea. Maintain a small amount of cash on your person, and this is just in case credit card services go down, your Apple Pay, those types of things. Just if we have issues with our internet, very good idea to have a small amount of cash on you. Expect employees to have long delays driving to and from work, especially the day of the event. You might also want to talk to your daycare to see if they're extending their hours the day of, just because it could be a possibility of you taking a longer period of time to get to that location. Look, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Enjoy the day, just be safe doing it. And again, our phdmc.org website has all this key information and handouts with the latest information on the eclipse. Please feel free to access that and share with your friends. As far as questions, if you've got any questions, concerns, issues on the eclipse, you wanted more information, feel free to email me at lcleek@phdmc.org. I'll do my best to get you an answer quickly. But again, a lot of our information is already out on our website, phdmc.org. Feel free to use that, and hopefully that answers the majority of your questions. If you don't see answers to those, please feel free to reach out to me via email. Thank you, everybody. Have a great eclipse.